Hello everyone, thanks for tuning into the second Winter 2022-2023 update from GavsWeatherVids. So here we go again, time to bring you another winter update. We started our winter updates last week with update number 1, this is update number 2. And of course we're building up the picture forensically week by week until we reach the winter forecast. We'll be releasing that at the beginning of December. I will have the date for you next week, where we will be releasing our winter 2022-2023 forecast. That will be at the beginning of next week's video. Update number 3, and at the beginning of that we will also have the swingometer for the first time this season as well. So be an interesting start to next week's update. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. We've got update number 2 to do for you, and I should get time for that for you in a moment. Just say that the first video today was our 6 AM upload. We'll be live streaming tonight at 8 PM. So we'll discuss this. Let's just play it, shall we? Let's play it. There we go. We will be discussing this second update on our live stream tonight, and of course we'll be discussing the sad developments over the past few days as well. We won't be giddy, I won't be giddy on the live stream tonight. It'll be sensible, Gav, for you given the current circumstances. I've got to say thank you so much, I'll see you at 8. I've got to say thank you so much to Richard for the gear. Thank you so much, Rich. Richard's on holiday at the moment, but we'll be watching, I'm sure. So thank you so much, Richard, for the gift. And thank you so much to Shrine for the help on the video as well. So when we come to the sections where Shrine has helped me, then I will, of course, give Shrine a good shout out. Thank you so much to Shrine, and thank you so much to Richard Shaw as well. Please like, share, subscribe on the videos. Thank you so much, everybody, doing that. I'm so pleased that we are back, you know, with the long range. The messages that you left for me last week were incredible. You know, we had an amazing premiere. So thank you so much, everybody, for making last week's first update so incredibly special on the night when we premiered it. One of the biggest premieres we've ever done, if not the biggest, with like 270 concurrent viewers, I think. It was a massive premiere. And you know, the subsequent comments that you left too, very, very special. Thank you so much, everybody. I'm delighted to be able to get back to the long range after so long away. And I hope we have a, you know, successful season. And also, of course, ultimately, the thing that counts is a successful forecast. Right, well, we're going to get on with the second update for you right now. We're going to begin with some analogues. So last week we looked at the setting temperature in terms of August and also summer 2022. This week we're dealing with England and Wales precipitation. As I told you last week, we're only looking at analogues from 1950 onwards this year. So that means, of course, that we can condense all of the data into one video rather than doing part 1, part 2, as we have been doing over the past few years, and that gives me the chance to, you know, not over-exert, given that I am still recovering from all of the traumas and my operation that I had earlier on in the year. Well, this is the England and Wales precipitation page at the UK Met Office. England and Wales precipitation goes all the way back to 1766. Of course, if we go down through the centuries and decades and whatnot, we come down to 2022 just here. And we can see that for the summer and for August, been very, very dry summer. So June came out with just 50.2 millimetres. July, exceptionally dry, 22.5. And August came out at 37.5. We will deal with summer England and Wales precipitation at the end of the video. 2 sets of analogues, one to start, one to finish. The first set of analogues, though, going to be dealing with August precipitation. So that 37.5 places August 2022 in the top 10 driest August since 1950, and that is our starting point. So we're going to go through the top 10 driest August essentially since 1950. At number 10 we've got August 1981. That gives us the winter of 1981-1982 with high pressure over Greenland and low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic. The jet stream is pushed down here as well. Very cold for December. It's a front-loaded winter. It means it's cold in December and into early January, and then it gets much milder later on. Overall, that is a very cold winter, though, for 81, 82. At number 9, we've got 1959, so the winter of 1959-96. It does actually have a northern blocking signal, but despite that, it's a mild and wet winter generally, with low pressure in from off the Atlantic. Oh, there it is! At number 8, we've got 2022, and the question marks are back. What will 2022, 2023 yield? We do not yet know, but we will find out in due course, of course. At number 7, we've got 1972. So winter of 72, 73 looks like this. It's a mild and dry winter with high pressure over and to the east of the country. And then at number 6 for the top 10 driest August, we've got 1983. The winter of 83, 84 looks like that. It's a zonal winter, but quite a cold winter actually for an Atlantic driven winter. We bring the wind out of the North Atlantic, and we have a lot of cold air spilling out of Canada in this winter. So a cold but zonal winter in 83, 84, very unusual winter, that one. At number 5, we've got 1991. So the winter of 91, 92 is just a very dry, benign, some might say boring winter, but I couldn't possibly comment. But no, it is a very, very quiet anticyclonic winter. That one. At number 4, we've got 1955. The winter of 55, 56 starts mild, but ends up very cold. Overall, the winter analog has above average heights in the Atlantic, and low pressure to our south and east, and that draws in wind from an easterly direction. It's a very, very cold sub-zero CT February, following from a relatively mild December and early January. Right, top 3. At number 3, the third driest August since 1950 is 1976, from a daddy of cold winters. This one is a front-loaded winter, again with above average heights within high latitudes. Very, very cold winter into East America. For us, this low pressure eventually turns it milder, but it does have a cold December, and January is quite cold as well in 77, mild for February. At number 2, we've got 2003, the second driest August since 950 was 2003. The winter of 03-04 has above average heights out to our west and below average heights to the east. And you would look at that means like a cold winter, but it isn't really. There are some cold snaps coming and going, especially later on in February. And then at number 1, the driest August since 1950 is August 1995. So this one is a cold winter. Right, many cold winters in the 1990s, but this is one of them, with high pressure to the north, low pressure to the south, winds in from the east. Very easterly winter, this one. Easterlies and Scandinavian highs coming and going on and off throughout winter. There is some green and blocking involved in it as well, especially around Christmas when it gets extremely cold, and for the north very snowy. Overall, that is a properly cold winter for 95-96. It does follow the driest August since 1950. I think we're probably about the driest August on record. Right, so putting all of that together, this is how all Decembers combined are looking, following the top 10 driest August. Quite a wet signal for me, December, so we might start to make up the rainfall by the time we get through into the winter. Bear in mind, I've got 1995 in there, though. That is a properly cold December, as is 1976. All January's combined, raising the blocking signal to the north, seemingly side December jet stream south. So that could be starting to hint at things getting colder when we get through into the Januaries. And then all February's combined follows that through a little bit more, although the blocking does centre over towards the Canadian side of Greenland. So it's a little bit touch and go whether that would be a particularly cold signal for those Februaries. But it does look as though the jet stream and the areas of low pressure are probably shifting southwards as the winter progresses. So on average, it does look as though it gets colder. The signal starts to get colder, as the winter goes on. Bear in mind, that could be skewed a little bit by 1956, because that was a very, very strongly strong blocking signal, a very cold month, of course, in February 1956. We have got like 1982 and also 1977 in the mix, which are milder Februaries. And then finally, for this set of analogues, all winters combined, following the top 10 driest August since 1950, have high pressure to the north, low pressure is to the south. So overall, that could be a coldish winter signal. And I reckon more particularly for December, despite that analogue, they've got a bit of a signal, I think, for like cold December. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think about that scenario. Right, let's just play Yes, there we go. Thank you, Richard. And we'll pause the video there, have a little break, and you digest what you've just seen. And when we come back, we will start going through the first thing we're going to go through is actually Arctic Cirrus extent. We'll go through Siberian snow cover and all of the other stuff, sea surface temperatures, etc., etc., etc. So all of that to come. You have a little stretch of your legs, and I shall see you in around 2 seconds' time. See you soon. Okay, we're back, and we're ready to resume the second winter 2022-2023 update from GavsWeatherVids. If you enjoyed the video so far, I've been pleasing you. Like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Okay, so we'll have more analogues for you at the end of the video, but now we're going to have a look at things like Arctic Cirrus extent. So at the end of last week's update, or late on with last week's first update, we went through all years for Arctic Cirrus extent right way back to 1979. We won't do that again this week, but we will show you how Arctic sea ice extent is doing compared to recent years at this point in the melt season. So we're virtually at peak melt season. Now we will start finding Arctic Cirrus extent coming back up quite shortly. Currently, that's where we are for Arctic Cirrus extent, where that blue line is just there. Let's see how that compares with last year. So we're virtually bang on 2021. To be honest, that's 2020, and we're significantly above 2020 for Arctic Cirrus extent this year. That is 2019, and we're quite significantly above that one too. That's 2018, we're virtually bang on 2018 right now. 2017, we're just a little bit above 2017, but not very much in it. 2016, again, we're quite significantly above 2016. 2015, we're also quite significantly above that one. 2014, that's the first year, but we're a little bit below. We're a little bit below 2014. That's 2013, came a little bit below that year. That's 2012, which is the record minimum year. We're very substantially above that one. Of course, this won't be a record minimum year for Arctic Cirrus extent. 2012 remains safe for another year. That's 2011. We're a little bit above 2011. That's 2010. Bang on 2010. Interesting. 2009. Just a little bit above 2009 right now. 2008. Virtually bang on 2008. A little bit ahead, but not much in it. 2007. We're significantly above 2007 for Cirrus extent. And that's 2006. That's as far back as we'll go, I think, and we are very significantly below 2006. So that's like the first year that we are substantially below. We're a little bit below 2013, 2014, but the first year that we are significantly below is 2006. So, you know, compared to previous years, we're there or thereabouts. We're a little bit ahead of some. We're a little bit behind one or two. Yeah, you know, it's very typical, this melt season, very typical for recent years, but bear in mind, significantly below what we would see like 15, 20 years ago and whatnot. In terms of duration snow covers, this is how things looked last week when we did the first winter update. Had a little smattering of white there across eastern parts of Siberia. Let's have a look at the latest. A few more areas of white beginning to appear. Nothing significant, but certainly a few white patches, or a few more white patches have appeared compared to last week. So again, if we go back to last week, that's how it looks. That's how it looks this week. Oh yeah, nothing overly significant, but a few more snow areas, so patches, white patches, have appeared. And in a couple of weeks' time, we'll probably start going through the archives and comparing that. But this gets more important when you get towards the end of September and into October. But, you know, it's quite... Some years you wouldn't get any white patches this early in September. So, you know, it's quite interesting to see that we have got these white patches already appearing across eastern parts of Siberia. We are in westerly QBO. We explained this last week. I won't go through this again, but just to say that this sandy brown area is the westerly QBO descending from the troposphere down into the stratosphere, down from stratosphere into troposphere, I should say, troposphere being the area of the atmosphere from 30 to 50 HPA. We have got the number in now for the QBO last month. So this is from NOAA. This is showing every month's QBO number back to the 1950s. So coming down to 2022, you can see that we start with these negative numbers. That's the easterly phase of the quasi-Siberian oscillation that starts to reverse into the summer. The first positive month, first westerly QBO month, is actually July at plus 3.04. And August has strengthened the westerly QBO further to plus 7.87. So the westerly QBO is continuing to strengthen, as you would expect. And we can expect that to continue over the next few months. For the remainder of 2022, we will see the westerly QBO strengthening. And it's not a surprise given that clearly we have got the westerly QBO down into the tropospheric boundary of the atmosphere now. So this is going to be a westerly QBO winter for 2022-2023. Later on in the update through reanalysis, we will explain what that could mean. Arctic Oscillation Observer Forecast is looking like this. So the AO, remember, it's just an index that's directing at atmosphere, like the QBO, doesn't drive anything in its own terms, just tells you what the atmosphere is doing, really. So with the QBO, if you're in an easterly QBO, you weaken the zone west in winter. If you're in a westerly QBO, you strengthen the zone west in winter. The AO, if you're positive with the AO, particularly in winter, then you'll have a stronger polar vortex over the Arctic. If you're negative with the AO, then that is a signal for high latitude blocking. Sometimes we're being negative with the Arctic oscillation, so we have had northern blocking through September so far. That's where we currently are. The GFS ensembles forecasting the AO to stay negative up to middle of September, and then may start to move into slightly weekly positive phase into second half of September. So the blocking signal might begin to ease and fade a little bit through to the second half of September. The NAO is the same idea. NAO observed and forecast. Again, this time it's just measuring the atmospheric state in the North Atlantic. So a negative NAO will have higher pressure around Iceland, lower pressure around the Azores, and it's the reverse of positive NAO. Currently, we're just there. We are negative with the NAO and have been through September so far. GFS ensembles, these red lines at the end, forecasting that the NAO will stay negative to neutral to negative with the NAO through into the second half of September, being forecast by the GFS ensemble. September's not really a month you associate with negative NAO conditions, so that is, you know, a little bit on the interesting side. Maybe we'll have a look at what winters are like following a negative NAO in September soon. That would be interesting, wouldn't it? Right, in terms of the polar vortex, we're going to see the polar vortex continuing to strengthen over the next couple of weeks. This is the latest GFS forecast from Meteo Seal for temperature at 10 HPA. We've got these blue colours just here. They're not that strong at the moment because it's still early in the season, but that is like the beginnings of the polar vortex at its roots in the stratosphere. And as we run through, you can see that those blue colours begin to start deepening a little bit. That tells us that temperatures getting colder over the North Pole in Arctic at 10 HPA, which is where the polar vortex is at its roots. So becoming colder over the next couple of weeks. We're extending range now with GFS results, but as you would expect, those blue colours are widening, they're deepening, which tells us that the polar vortex is expanding and also getting stronger at its roots in the arch. So I think that's more or less about average for what you expect this time of at this point of the year. You know, I don't think it's anything particularly outrageous, unusual. But definitely seeing the polar vortex get stronger as you would expect through September. Next week, you might have a look at what you forecast for the polar vortex for this winter from a few of the long-range models. So activity next. So this saboteur disk is looking on our side of the disk today from solarham.net. We have got sunspot regions peppered across the solar disk actually, but despite that, Solarham is reporting that solar activity is at low levels and expected to remain at low levels for the next 3 days. This is the GavsWeatherVids Winter Updates Solar Activity Tracker, updated by Shryan. Thank you so much, Shryan, for updating this. And of course, thank you to Shryan earlier on in the video for the analogues too, and the analogues that you'll see from Shryan later on in the video as well. Right then, so it's all rather flat, I have to say, very up and down with sunspot numbers. The orange line and the orange spots depicting each individual day's worth of sunspot activity. You can see that at the moment, the latest days are around here. Really. So every day, of course, is posting sunspots because we are coming towards the maximum phase. We're in the ascending phase, if you like, of this solar cycle. But the sunspot numbers aren't particularly increasing from the 30-day average line to the green line. Just here you can see that it's looking pretty flat really. There's not much sign at the moment that we're lifting up. So we have the peak of this solar cycle a little while ago now actually. So the peak so far, we will peak further from this, but the peak so far for solar cycle number 25 happened at the end of May with that orange spot just there. We haven't got back to that yet. So yeah, we're having like regular sunspots, of course, daily sunspots as you expect. But at the moment, the peak of this solar cycle so far, which occurred back in May, we have not reached that level yet. We should wait and see whether that green line, whether that trend line starts lifting up further, of course, over the next few days and weeks and months. We're going to keep this updated every week through our winter updates. Thank you so much to Shryan for updating the tracker. Okay, let's play the GIF. Right, so we're going to have another little pause there, and when we come back, we're going to resume. And we'll resume this time with oceans data. That'd be quite interesting, I think. So, again, stretch your legs, and I shall see you very shortly. See you soon. Okay, we're back, and we're ready to resume the second winter 2022-2023 update from GavsWeatherVids. Hello, and thank you so much, everybody, for tuning in. If you enjoyed the video so far, then please you like, share, and subscribe. And thank you so much, everybody, for doing that. Let's just play the GIF. There we go. Thank you, Rich. Thank you to Rich for the GIF. Right, where we left off before the play was we was looking at solar activity. We're going to move on to oceans data next. So let's do that for you, shall we? So this is how sea surface temperature anomalies were looking when we did last week's first winter 2022-2023 update. 4 areas of interest. Of course, got the Indian Ocean just here. We've got the Pacific Ocean just here with a particular focus on the ENSO region there and the North Pacific up here. Particularly so northeastern Pacific, and then over in the Atlantic we've got the North Atlantic Ocean just there. So we've got the Atlantic, we've got the Pacific, and of course we've got the Indian Ocean. We explained last week that we are in a negative IOD and expected to remain in a negative Indian Ocean dipole through to the end of the year. We've also got a La Nina developing, strengthening third La Nina winter through the equatorial precipitation, and meanwhile further north, the North Atlantic and North Pacific is in a very warm state. So that's how the oceans looked last week. This is the latest for the oceans for this week. Let's deal with the ENSO region first of all. We have seen a further strengthening of the La Nina signature through the ENSO region. So if we focus here on the equatorial Pacific Ocean, that's how things looked last week. This is the latest, and I think you can say that most regions of the equatorial Pacific Ocean, and particularly so the central and eastern area, has cooled further over the past week. So the La Nina continues to strengthen. La Nina continues to strengthen up. You can see how cold it is to the south of the equatorial Pacific Ocean as well, down into the southern part of the Pacific, off the coast of Chile and whatnot. We've got cold waters gathering, and that's normally a signal for La Nina as well. So I would suspect that we're going to see the La Nina continuing to get stronger over the next few months. In the northern Pacific, that's how things looked last week, with a particular focus on the northeastern Pacific through to this week. Very similar, maybe a slight cool down has occurred. I'm not sure the anomaly is quite as intense this week as it was last week, but it's not all that much in it. In the Indian Ocean, remember we're looking over here now, in the Indian Ocean, that's how things looked last week. This is how things look this week. Very little change. The negative IOD signature continues, so it remains cooler there and it remains warmer there. That is the signature for the negative Indian Ocean dipole. And then in the North Atlantic, this is how things looked last week. Very, very warm in the northern, northeast, or northwestern, I should say, Atlantic Ocean around there. Very, very warm through there. Tropical Atlantic looking quite warm as well. It is a little bit cooler through there. This is how things look this week. So not all that much change. Maybe a little bit of an expansion of those slightly cooler anomalies through here. That's probably largely related to tropical developments, I would have thought, recent tropical developments. The tropical Atlantic itself looks quite warm, as does the Caribbean, as does the Gulf of Mexico. And of course it remains exceptionally warm up here, up towards Newfoundland and up the eastern seaboard of the United States. Remains really, really warm. Those sea surface temperature anomalies up there. Almost looks like it's on fire, doesn't it? In terms of the 7-day change, that's how things look. So in the equatorial Pacific Ocean, you see things have cooled a little bit on this eastern side, as we suspected. Maybe warm slightly over the past 7 days in the western equatorial Pacific Ocean. Up here you can see it does confirm over the past 7 days things have cooled a little bit in the northeastern Pacific. That's interesting. That'll be interesting whether that is maintained over the next few weeks and months. We're waiting for that area to cool down, of course, compared to warm anomalies that we've got at the moment. So things have cooled there over the past 7 days. Remember, these are not anomalies, it's just the change that we've seen over the past 7 days. In the Indian Ocean, probably warming in most areas, actually, over the past 7 days. But in the Atlantic, it looks quite interesting. So much of the tropical Atlantic, Caribbean, etc., has warmed. This area has cooled quite a bit through this central part of the Atlantic, from like the Bay of Biscay back towards the east coast of America, and then up here up towards south of Greenland. It has warmed. So if that was to continue, if that's a 7-day change was to continue over not just seven days, but over 7 weeks, let's say, then we possibly will start to see a tripole emerging, because that does look a little bit tripole-esque, doesn't it? But of course it is only a 7-day change, and we would need to wait and see whether that 7-day change is maintained. But quite interesting. In a subsequent update, probably in the next week or two, maybe next week actually, we will probably go through the sea surface temperature anomaly charts and see how this year is comparing to all years back to, I think, 1985 is as far back as we can go. So we do that, you know, in the winter updates. We'll probably do that, or we might do that next week. I'll wait and see. Southern Oscillation Index looks like this. Remember the SOI, as with all of the indexes, just reflecting atmospheric state, not driving anything in its own terms, just tells us what the atmosphere is doing. In a positive SOI, you've got an atmospheric state that's reflective of La Nina. In a negative SOI, you've got an atmospheric state that's reflective of El Nino. Positivity of the SOI, as you would expect. This is from Queensland Government. It confirms, you know, since the start of September, all days have been positive. It's measuring air pressure between Tahiti and Darwin, by the way, but the most important column is this one, which is the SY number. And I won't go through the numbers, but you can see for yourself that they are all positive from the 1st September every day up to the 10th. And so, yes, the atmosphere is reflective of a La Nina type state. The ocean, of course, is producing this La Nina, and so the ocean, the atmosphere, are well and truly coupled up with one another, and so this will be another La Nina winter. CFSB2 is forecasting that La Nina will reach moderate levels now, actually going down to 1.5 degrees below average, with CFSB2 region 3.4 forecast. So yeah, it's all pointed to La Nina. This is going to be the third La Nina winter. That's quite unusual, and later on in the updates through reanalysis, we will try and explain what that could mean. 2022 Atlantic hurricane season data next. So this is how the scores on the doors are currently looking from the 2022 Atlantic hurricane season page from Wikipedia. Now, things have moved a little bit with hurricanes. It's been an extremely slow start and still below average, but we have now had 5 tropical depressions, 5 tropical storms, and 2 hurricanes. No major category 3 or above hurricanes so far. This is how ACE is looking. It's been updated by Shryan, of course. Thank you so much for ACE Master Shryan for keeping this updated for us. ACE is a way of indicating the strength of both individual hurricanes and storms and the season overall, for all of the storms throughout the season, the energy that they are emitting, accumulated cyclone energy. The categories are below normal, near normal, above average, and hyperactive. We go back to 1851 with this, but coming down to the most recent year, which is 2022. We see our ACE number has moved a little bit compared to last week, so we're now at plus 29 for our ACE. That's after 5 storms, 2 hurricanes, and no major hurricanes. That is still below average, though, for this point in the season. Up to 10th of September, you expect ACE to be at 58.20, so still quite significantly below average, but has moved a little bit compared to last week. Now, this year was very interesting for tropical storms because we didn't have a single tropical storm in the Atlantic during the month of August. Of course, we know now, we've got in September, things have moved a little bit, but that is quite unusual not to have any tropical storms throughout the whole of the calendar month of August in the Atlantic Ocean. Only a few years where that has happened. So Shrine has got this table together for us. So that's 2022 just there, with no Atlantic tropical storms. So the last time that happened was in 1997, when we had no tropical storms in the Atlantic. It also happened in August. Also happened in 1961. Happened in 1941, happened in 1929, happened in 1923. What you notice with that is that it tends to happen more often when ENSO is either neutral or El Nino state. So in 1997 and 1941, we actually had an El Nino developing through those August. So, El Nino dampens down Atlantic hurricane activity, of course. So you would kind of expect that, maybe not expect it, but you would expect it more. Got an El Nino going on. The other 3 times it happened in 1961, 1929, 1923, we had a neutral ENSO state. The only time it has ever happened, back to 1851, with a La Nina, is this year, 2022. So that just shows you how unusual 2022 has been for to get an August with no Atlantic tropical storms with a La Nina. Now, how those seasons panned out in the end, by the end of them, their classification overall for ACE, is that most of them come out below normal. So 1997 was a below normal season. 1941 was a below normal season, below normal hurricane season. 1929 was a below normal hurricane season, and 1923 was a below normal hurricane season. We do have the example of 1961, which did actually, despite that very, very slow start, not having a single storm in August of 1961, the overall season for 61 did actually come out hyperactive. So we can't rule out that this season won't really ramp up and end up either above average or hyperactive. And I suppose, given that we've got La Nina, that would be particularly what you might think could happen this season. But clearly, the most likely scenario, after such a slow start, the most likely scenario for this hurricane season now is for it to be below normal. You know, if it's so significantly below normal at the start, then that will tend to be maintained. Historically, that would tend to be maintained through the season. So it will be interesting to see what happens with that. And, you know, we shall, of course, be keeping a very close eye on it through Wikipedia and through our Ace Master Schreier. Thank you so much, Schreier, for that table. Right, we're just going to finish with some analogues that are going to be done on this second winter 2022-2023 update. We're going back to England, Wales precipitation. So we started off there, that's where we're going to finish up. We explained we have had a very dry August and a very dry summer. So June's England, Wales precipitation came out 59.1, July's came out at 50.2, and August comes out at 22.5. That is one of the driest summers on record. It's been a very dry year as well. We may have a look at winters following very dry years as well at some point through these updates, because why not? The only wetter than average month so far this year was back in February, but all other months, January, March, and April, May and whatnot, you know, they all come out drier than normal. So the overall England Wales precipitation for this summer was June 50.2, July 22.5, and August 37.5. It places summer 2022 within the top 10 driest. You'll see where we are in the top 10. And so to finish off this second winter update, we're going to have a look at winters following the top 10 driest summers back to 1950. So at number 10, we've got 2006. So the winter of 2006-2007 has high pressure to the south, low pressure to the north, winds coming in from the west. Thank you so much to Schreier for getting these years together for us, of course. At number 9, we've got the summer of 1981. The winter of 81-82 is a front-loaded winter with high latitude blocking around Greenland, low pressure through here. It's a mild February, but a very cold December. Has a real freeze-up in early January as well. At number 8, we've got 1955, a winter of 1955-1956. Again, we talked about this in the early part of the video. Back again, has a freezing cold. February with a sub-zero CT, although the early part of winter is relatively mild. At number 7, the seventh driest summer is 1975. The winter of 75-76 was a mild and dry winter with high pressure over and to the west of the country. And then at number 6, we've got 2018. So the winter of 2018-2019 was a mild, dry winter with high pressure up the western side of Europe. Very strange looking anomaly, that one. At number 5, we've got 1984, the 5th driest summer since 1950 for England, Wales precipitation was 1984. Winter 84-85 is a properly cold winter with lots of northern blocking and winds coming in from the northeast. That's a very, very cold winter in the middle of the 1980s, 84, 85, particularly cold in January. At number 4, we've got the summer of 1983, the winter of 83, 84. We talked about this first part of the video, is a cold zonal winter, westerly Atlantic driven, but quite cold, an unusual winter. That with lots of cold zonality. Right, there we go. Number 3, it's 2022. So the summer 2022 was the third driest since 1950. The question marks are back. Questions to answer. Questions. What will the winter of 22-23 be like? We shall find out in a few months. At number 2, we've got the daddy of hot summers. It's 1976. So the winter of 76-77, we talked about this first part of the video as well. Very cold winter for Eastern America. Northern blocking signal as well. For us, we have this low pressure in off the Atlantic. It starts off cold with a cold December. January, 77, quite cold too. And it gets mild for February. And then at number 1, the driest summer since 1950 is 1995. And the winter of 95, 96, again, we talked about it in the first part of the video. It is a cold winter. There aren't many cold winters in the 1990s, but this is one of them. Has a lot of easterly winds and Scandinavian highs coming and going. And so, yes, we see a cold winter there for 95, 96, following the driest summer on record. Putting all of that together, this is how all Decembers combined are looking. Looks like it could be an unsettled signal for the Decembers. We saw this in the earlier part of the video looking at all August data. So there's a little bit of a stronger signal for blocking mode in the Northern Atlantic. That is strengthened into January. This is how all January's combined look following the top 10 driest summers. High pressure centered close to Greenland, low pressure across northern and west Europe, winds in from the east. You would expect, on average, the chances there that those Januaries could be quite cold and wintry. And then February looks quite interesting as well. Very Scandinavian high base, I think, for February, with high pressure up to Scandinavia, but also close to Greenland, low pressure with projection pushed southwards. And you expect to increase the chance of those easterly winds, I think, as the winter goes along. Well, I have not zoomed in, so let's just very quickly do that. I forgot to zoom in on the final analog, didn't I? How silly of me. Right, so this is how all winters combined are looking following the top 10 dry summers. Very much focusing high latitude blocking around Greenland, Iceland. Low pressure is down here, and jet stream southwards as well. Could be a signal for a cold winter following most dry summers. Remember, there will be years that are deviating on that too. But, yeah, quite interesting. Okay, we're done. Let's just very quickly play. Yes, right then, we're done. And that's it for the second winter 2022-2023 update. So we've come out at 40 minutes. It's about the ballpark that I'm hoping for with these updates. Not overly long. And, you know, being able to combine it all into 2 parts as well. So, yeah, that's about right. That's about where I want to be with these updates. Thank you so much, everybody, for watching. I know it's been a long video. I say, it's, you know, it's where I want to be, but it is a long video for most people. So I appreciate you sticking with it and watching it through to the very end. Thank you so much to all of you for doing that. And that's it though. So thank you to Shrine and thanks so much to Richard for the help on this video. And of course we'll be back next week with your third winter update. We will have the date for the winter forecast next week at the beginning of that video, and you will get to see the swingometer for the first time this season. Richard's supercomputer will be processing the data, and we will begin showing you our swingometer for the first time. How the first couple of updates are pointing, you know, whether they're pointing to a mild or a cold winter. I'll be back later on, live streaming at 8 PM. No doubt have quite a bit to discuss with this winter update. But for the second winter 2022-2023 update, that is all for now. And thanks so much.